Thank you so much for coming to this Inform Your Community Celebrate and Create event. My name is Robbie. I use he, him pronouns. I am currently at my sister's beach house, so I have a completely different background today. You know me, I'm the gingery guy with bad skin. No, it's not that bad. Closed captioning is enabled. You can turn it on at the bottom of your Zoom. At Inform Your Community, we offer events that combine information with fun. You can visit us at informyourcommunity.org. Our social media links are there at the bottom of the homepage. Tell your friends to sign up for our mailing list on the top right of our website. And of course, you can donate using our donate link at the top right of the page. Today, we're going to be discussing citizenship. This is an important issue because most, if not all of us, are citizens of some place. In the US, being a citizen gives you certain privileges. To be a citizen here means we were either born in the US or we became citizens of the US after we moved here from another country. That's called naturalized citizenship. Or we were born to US citizen parents. This is called derivative citizenship. This event is part of our Celebrate and Create program. So we're going to be creating a unique craft inspired by inclusive monthly celebration themes. This one is citizenship. Today we're going to do a magnetic picture frame with our master crafter, Stacy. And throughout the craft, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to unmute yourself, talk or write in the chat. We'd love to see the work in progress, show your project to the camera. And John is here helping us with tech and monitoring the chat. So put any comments or questions you have in there. Stacy, master crafter, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So excited to be here. I'll get right to things. So grateful to have you here, and we have our frame that we're going to be making today, and a few different versions I'm going to show you right there that you can see. So, and the reason why I picked this craft today is, you know, one of the things that happens when you're a citizen of a country is you're very proud of your country that you belong to, and so folks who, you know, become naturalized and they get their citizenship, they're very excited about, you know, being a citizen of America. And so we wanted to make sure that we had lots of patriotic symbols on our craft today. And so we're making this patriotic fridge magnet picture frame. It's small. It holds about a 2.5 by 3 inch frame. It's the kind that you would use for a like a wallet size image photo. And so that's the craft we're going to make today. And let's get started. So everybody is going to want to get a scissor. A scissor will be very helpful for this craft. It does not come with the kit that you received, but so you will want to use a scissor. And optionally, it may be helpful to have glue. You don't need to have it if you have our kit, but it may be helpful. You can use either glue stick or kind of just plain old white glue. I have a very small version of white glue, but you know, that big Elmer's kind that you can get at the stores. So if you have our craft kit, you received something that looked a little bit like this. And in that, I will show you what we have. So we have some stars, which will come in handy. Maybe you got red, maybe you got blue. You've got some red, white, and blue ribbon, kind of on the thin side. That's 1/8 inch, I believe. You've got our wonderful business card. You've got a magnet, a piece of paper, and this piece of paper is basically to put inside, and you can draw on it if you want, but that part's not going to be part of our craft today. You can draw on it later, and you can put that in there. I once had somebody draw an eagle. It was really cool to have a picture of an eagle in this patriotic frame because that's another symbol of American citizenship. So anyway, and then your little frame, which is really, you might have been able to tell, this is actually a baseball card holder. Amazing what you can do with, you know, various things. So there's a baseball card holder, a kind of hard plastic baseball card holder, and it's got self-stick, two-sided self-stick stickies on the back. So those are our craft materials for today. And then if you don't have our kit, what you would want to do is basically you'd want to get some version of the red, white, and blue for your frame. Now you can do that in the form of ribbon if you have those colors. It could be yarn, that works. It could be maybe you just have construction paper in red, white, and blue, and you can just cut those strips with construction paper, as I mentioned, about 1/8 inch. You can also take some markers or crayons and color some copy paper or some white paper and use those strips. That will work just as well. So something for that red, white, and blue strips for you to have those. You're also going to want a magnet. You could have, maybe you have some unused magnets lying around your house. Most people, I don't think they do, but maybe you have some fridge magnets that you don't like that much or look kind of grimy. You can repurpose those. So any kind of fridge magnet that's flat on the opposite side of the magnet, you can use and just glue that to the back of what's going to be your base. And then so you will want glue in that case. And then for the base of your frame, you'll want pretty much anything that you can really paste a picture on top of. It doesn't have to be see-through plastic. Like, sure, it looks cool to have the see-through plastic, but really, even if you had a piece of kind of hard cardboard, that would work just as well, because you'll still be able to use that hard cardboard, right, and put these things on it with the glue. So any kind of flat surface, if you have a flat plastic surface, if you have a flat cardboard surface, all of that's fine. You're going to want to make it about 3 by 3.5 at the biggest, I would say. Scissor is another thing you're going to want. I mentioned that everybody should have a scissor. And then any kind of star-shaped objects you might have would be swell. That could also be that you just cut out stars. You draw them and you cut them out. Maybe you have them from other magazines. That's totally fine too. So any kind of star shape. Maybe you have like star jewels like we have in our kit, or star stickers are great. So anything that's star shaped will kind of go with the theme that we have. And of course, if you have other kinds of, craft jewels, circles and things like that in the red, white, or blue colors, you can just go ahead and use those instead of stars, and you'll get the same kind of cool effect of having the jewels on the corners like that. So while you're thinking about, while you're going to get your materials, and also I'm going to tell you one more thing to think about with your design is you can either do it so that it's a tall, what do we call, vertical picture, or you can make your frame so that it's a horizontal picture. So you get to choose which one of those you want, if you wanted to do it as a vertical or as a horizontal. Okay, the kit should be able to give you both. And certainly if you have your own materials, you can also make it either way. But it is a little hard because you need to have a top that's open. So you want to make that decision early on. So while our folks are deciding on whether they want horizontal or vertical, and while you're gathering your materials, if you don't have your kit, and even if you do have your kit, make sure you get that scissor. I'm wondering, Rob, if you can tell us, what are some of the responsibilities of citizenship?
Citizens have a lot of responsibilities, like when you're part of any community, like at school, in your classroom, or at home with your family. There are things you need to do because you're part of something bigger than you, right? It's not just you. So as a citizen of the country, all adults have the responsibility to follow laws, vote, pay taxes, which you may have heard grown-ups complain about, and complete the census. That's something like every 10 years. It doesn't happen often, but another thing that it helps the country function to do these things.
So right, so what is the census?
Oh, the census, it's like a big survey. It's a big project that asks everyone questions to help the government know who lives in the country and what their needs are. So based on the census, the government determines where to spend tax money, and also how to apportion representatives in the US House of Representatives. I think ultimately you could say, because of the census and taxes, we have things like public libraries, public schools, police officers. You may not benefit from all of them, but they're there for you in case you need them.
That makes a lot of sense. And you also pay your taxes to help with some things called social safety nets, which are also there for you when you need them. These are just like a net would protect you. Like if you imagine like a tight rope walker in like a circus, there's always that net underneath them because, you know, nobody wants to get hurt. You want to be safe. So you have that net underneath you and so that you're safe. And so there's these social safety nets that our taxes go to pay for. So we pay the government so that then the government has this fund of money that the government then uses for when everyday people like you and me or your parents need a little help. So those social safety nets are there for people, help them keep a roof over their head when they need it, help them be fed if they don't have the money to feed themselves, and the government, so that the government make sure that we're taken care of to the best of its ability and our ability.
Yeah, and as citizens, we take care of each other too, just like in your classroom or at home. Good citizens are caretakers of the country and look out for each other.
That is a great point. And actually, we're going to be looking out for each other right now because we've got to start our craft. Does that sound good to you, Robbie?
Let's do it.
All right, I love it. So let's start our craft. And you're going to start with your base. So again, if you have your base from home, that's fine. Cardboard, plastic, whatever it is, cut to an approximately the right size, about 3 by 3.5. If you don't, if you have our kit, then you have the plastic base that I mentioned earlier, which is great. So for those of you without our kit, if you want to take some time now to cut, you can do that now. So cut your whatever material to work on. If you have our craft, what you're going to do is you're going to stick your magnet to one side of it. So, okay, you have your magnet. And those of you folks who you don't have our kit, this would be your next step, is start working on putting your magnet on it. So you're going to take your magnet and you're going to put the magnet on the opposite side that these stickies are on. So if you feel it, you'll know this is the side the stickies are on, this side it's smooth. So you're actually going to put the magnet on the smooth side. It's a little counterintuitive because you'd think you'd want to put it on the side that's already got the other stuff, but you'll see why you can't do that in a second. So you're going to put your magnet on that. It should stick fine. If you have any issues with it, you've got some stick glue around and you want to make it a little bit more sturdy, you can do that now, or you can do that later if you feel like you want it to stick a little stronger. But the card doesn't weigh that much, so it doesn't weigh it down too much. So it should stick just fine. But you can reinforce it with some glue later if you like. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'm wondering, do we have some rights that go with those responsibilities?
Oh, yes. So yeah, we talked about responsibilities, but we have some rights that come along with citizenship too. The Bill of Rights was put into practice in 1791, over 230 years ago. It was created when the US was first founded as a country, and along with the rest of the Constitution that also talks about other rights, it tells citizens like the most important basic rights that they have, like we have the right to freedom of expression. And one thing that lets us do is advocate for ourselves, to let other people know, you know, what we need, make sure our voices get heard. Some people advocate by doing what we're doing right now, creating art that represents what they think.
Right. That's great.
And
that's great. Speaking of art, actually, shall I get back to this?
Oh yeah, let's create art.
Thank you very much for that, Robbie. I like that segue. That works. Okay. So we've got our magnet on one side. What I want you to do now is I want you to take your ribbons and I want you to go ahead and take them out of the bag if you have them. If you don't have our materials, this is a good time to make sure you have a piece of paper, you're drawing your different colors and then cutting them out. If you or if you have some yarn, you can cut those pieces. You basically just want them to be about a quarter, if you're cutting them yourself, about an 1/8 inch to a 1/2 inch, depending on how big your base is. Okay, you guys might have a bigger base than I do. So you're going to go ahead and then peel off one of the stickers. So can you see me doing it over here? Okay, so you're going to take this little self-stick thing. And if you've got a younger child that you're working with, what I like to do is I'll peel off the corner just a little, and then I'll let the child peel off the rest of it. Oop,
Can you
here.
show a little clip? Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then I'll let the child peel off the rest of it. So I just usually do a corner like that and let the child peel off. But of course, if you've got a slightly older kid, then certainly they can do this themselves, but just peel off one for now. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start with the red one all the way from the outside. And you don't want to so what you realize is what you just took off, it's very sticky. Okay. You're going to take the top of a red string, okay, or yarn or whatever you have. We have our ribbon, and you're going to put that right about at the top leftmost of your frame. Okay, so it's on the outside. I'll give you a little close-up view of that. Oops, there you go. So here we go. Top leftmost of that, and it goes right on there. Now this is going to be a little loose down on the bottom, but that's fine. We actually want that way, so no problem there. And then we know it's like the red, white, and blue, so we know white's going to come next, right? So white comes next. We're going to do the exact same thing right next to it. Okay, it's fine if it's a little off. It's not a little bit off. It's okay. It makes it look a little bit fun. You can see on this that it's not so exactly even. It's totally fine if it's not very even. So you're going to put the white one right next to it. And then I'm guessing, do you folks know which color is next that's going to go there? I bet you do. It's going to be the blue one. So we're going to go ahead and put the blue one right next to it. And very conveniently, again, as long as it's near the top, it doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. It kind of looks fun to have it a little different variety. You're going to have it hanging off the bottom. And you'll notice it fits pretty darn right perfect if you're using our craft. Okay, what you're then going to do is you're going to do the same thing to the other side, okay, over here, and repeat the process. And for the bottom though, okay, and actually let me do the bottom next just to show you. Okay, for the bottom, we'll do that now. Okay, I'm taking off the peel and stick part. So for the bottom, you're going to do red on the top. Okay, again, red, white, and blue. So we start with it. Red on the top, but this time you want it in the middle. So try to put that red about in the middle. So it's sticking off, and try to do it kind of straight, unlike what I just did, kind of straight across. Then you're going to do the white kind of straight across the middle. That way it's sticking out about evenly on both sides. Okay. And it's okay if there's a little overlap. I know sometimes we want to be like really specific. It is totally fine. There's no perfection here. However it comes out, believe me, it is going to look great. So try to do it a little bit towards the middle, and that'll come in. You'll know why in a few minutes. Okay, to get it kind of centered. And then you're going to be repeating the same thing on the right side. Yes. And let me know if you have any questions.
So 3 sides. Okay, so while folks are gluing, I wanted to bring up one important part of being a citizen that's both a responsibility and a right.
Oh.
So not only is it our responsibility to vote, like we talked about before, it's our right to vote. In other words, citizens get to vote in elections so that they can decide who the leaders are that will help look out for them and their needs and wants. So we can't vote to change our parents or our teachers, but as citizens, we can vote to change who leads the country, the state, the city too. It's just, it's like student government, if you have any experience with that. So as a voter, your voice matters. We all get to be heard by the people in charge.
That is an excellent point. And I wanted to just, I want to say something towards that, but before I do, I wanted to just note something. There's kind of 2 ways you can do this side, the right side of it. On this one, what I did is I started red, white, blue. And then because I wanted balance on this one, I put blue, white, red. Okay. On this one, I decided I wanted to stick with the red, white, blue, and I did red, white, blue, and then over here also red, white, blue. That is entirely up to you. Whichever one you want to do, you go for it, okay? And if you've already done it one way and decided you wanted to do it another way, you can go ahead and lift them up and do it differently. By the way, if you don't have our kit, so you don't have those self-stick things on there, you can just use your glue that you have handy, and that's how you're going to get those on there. So going back to what Robbie said, I wanted to mention that the right to vote, because people may not know this, is called suffrage. That's what it's called. And a long time ago, people, lots of people had to fight for their right to vote. So the 15th Amendment, that was in 1870, gave African-American men the right to vote. The 19th Amendment in 1920, that was about 50 years later, gave women the right to vote. And about 50 years after that, and technically 51 to be exact, the 26th Amendment in 1971 lowered the voting age from 21 to 18. So all those folks who couldn't vote before because they were 19 years old, for example, now they're able to vote. Went down from 21 years old to 18 years old to vote. And so not as young as you folks that might be crafting with us right now, but not so far away. 18-year-olds were given the right to vote. So you have a few more years to go. And in that time, we might as well start working on, finish up what we're doing with these. And yeah, Robbie, did you want to say anything next?
Well, I have a couple of facts about the recent election. It was 2020 was the most recent presidential election, and voting turnout reached its highest level in 3 decades, according to the Census Bureau. So 60% of eligible Americans voted, which is good, but sometimes it sounds like maybe 60% isn't as good, like it could be higher. Like, why is 60% so good? But I think typically not that many people exercise this right. And so it's maybe we're starting to see more people realizing how important it is. And there are some things also that stand in the way of people being able to vote. So even though more people have been granted over time the right to vote, there are some obstacles to voting.
No, that's a great point. And you know, how far somebody lives from where their poll site is, where they would go to vote, you know, what transportation they have to get there, you know, very far away and you don't have a car and there's no public transportation. How many days that you can vote on, that can affect your ability, because let's say there's no voting on the weekend, you can only do it in the week, but then you're working a full-time job. What hours the site is open. So if you're working a full-time job and then the polls close during right after work hours, then you might not be able to get there. And sometimes people can't get time off. Oftentimes people can't get time off to vote. So all of those things could be things that affect whether somebody's actually able to get to those polls or not.
Or even if like a polling place, I don't know, I'm just thinking of an example, maybe it doesn't have a ramp and like you need help, you can't take the stairs, you know, those kind of things.
Absolutely.
That's an obstacle.
Interpreters as well, whether they have Braille or, you know, something else for those visual, all excellent points. Yeah. Great point.
There is a new potential law called the Robbie Lewis Voting Rights Act of 2021. I'm not 100% sure if this was passed, but there is this new law trying to help with some of these issues that prevent people from exercising their right to vote.
Hey, John, do you feel like Googling that for us and letting us know if that passed? I was under the impression it passed, but it would be great to know 100%.
Let me take a look.
Thank you so much, John. Okay, so and every vote counts, to be sure. And there's something called participatory citizenship that helps to make sure people get their voices heard, because as participatory citizens, we become active in finding out about laws and knowing who our electors are. We volunteer our time in our communities. So when we are more active in our civic engagement and voting, that's when we are being participatory citizens in particular. So researching issues that are important, coming to events like this to find out about these important topics, and even running for elected offices ourselves. Maybe we have a future president right here on this craft today. So participatory citizenship is really the glue that holds our country together. You know, we get involved, we find out issues, we know what the elections are about, and then we go out to vote. Those are all really important to kind of be the glue that holds things together. Speaking of glue that holds things together, I'm wondering how folks are doing. Anybody has any questions, please do feel free to put it in the chat. But I think we're ready to go on to our next step.
I have a funny comment.
Oh yeah, please.
So I said out loud the Robbie Lewis Voting Rights Act, but it's called the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And it's funny that because I'm Robbie and he's John, like, it's just a funny, silly thing that I looked at the note and I'm like, wait, Robbie Lewis, did I say that out loud? And then I'm like, it's John Lewis.
John Lewis, you're.
And then I wrote John, and then I'm like, John is helping. So anyway.
That is funny.
John has found that the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act has not yet been introduced.
Oh,
So it's not only not been enacted, it doesn't look like it's been introduced yet to Congress for a vote.
okay. So apologies. I'm so glad that you changed that. You mentioned that, Robbie. I'm so glad that you corrected it, John. And you know, that's one of the other things we do at Inform Your Community is we also kind of model, you know, it's okay to be wrong and learn things. And when you don't know something, you make sure to find it out. So you're sharing the accurate information. So I didn't have that in my notes, but I was going on my assumption there. So I'm so glad, Robbie, you corrected me. And then John, that you looked it up. So it's, you know, that's part of participatory citizenship too. So really super funny that we did that right at the time where we're talking about
In real time.
citizenship, right? In real time, we're demonstrating what that looks like for everyone. So, okay, so thank you both. So, okay, so here's a really cool thing, you know, this is my favorite step, but it is a kind of fine motor skill thing. So you may need help if you're particularly young, but what you're going to notice, okay, on this particular one is, and I'm just fixing this, there you go, is that this is weaved in. You remember I told you that these have to be hanging at the end, the ribbons are going to be hanging at the end? Well, the reason we wanted them hanging is because we want to then do a weave. So it looks kind of cool when it's weaved together, right? If it's not weaved together, you know what? It's going to look something like that. And that's fine too. It'll kind of be hanging off. That's totally fine. You can decide you want them underneath, you want them on top, right? But the weaving looks kind of cool. So I'm going to show you how to do the weaving right now. Let me see if I can do it for you. Okay, I'm going to start inside. So from the farthest, so I'm on my left side of my base, okay? I'm taking the innermost color, which in my case is the blue, okay? And I'm going to go over the red, under the white, over the blue. There you go. So now I've got my first weave in there. So I went over the red ribbon here, under the white ribbon here, and then on top of the blue ribbon. So now I'm going to take my next one is the white. And in that case, you have to do the opposite. I'm going underneath the red. Can you guys see this? Okay. I'm going underneath the red, going over the white, and then under the blue. It's a little hard to do under the blue this way, so I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to go like that and pull the blue over it like that. And then my last one, and you're going to get one more chance to see me doing this on the other side. So don't worry too much if you're stuck on a point, but of course you can always ask questions in the chat. So I'm going to put the red over the other red. I'm going to put the red under the white and then over the blue. And so now we have this cool weave. Okay. Now what I'm going to suggest, you could do the other side first if you wanted to, but because this is kind of loose, what I'm going to suggest is that we put our star on it now. Okay. So if you can take one of the stars that you have, okay, so we have a few in your kit, take one of the stars that you have and just put it, make sure that it's a nice, neat weave. The lines are pretty straight. Okay. Peel the sticker off the back, not the sticker, peel there's a little plastic sheet off the back of that sticker. Again, that may be a fine motor skill thing. You may need a little help. And then you'll see it's got a glue dot on the back of it. It's sticky. Go ahead and put that right in the middle and push down. And how cool does that look? What do you think? Cute? Oh, trying to find my camera. Where's my camera here?
No.
Nope. Keep trying. There you go. Okay. There's my camera. It doesn't want to focus real nice though. Probably because I totally don't know where it is. There you go. So there's the camera, there's the blue right there. Okay, so now you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So if you didn't catch that, no problem. We're going to do it again here. Again, I want you to start in the middle. It's much harder to do this if you start from the outside in. So we're going to start from the middle of the base. Okay, and you can kind of do it as you want. In my case, I'm going to go over the red, under the white, over the blue. Okay, and that first one's usually the easy one because, you know, the other way to do that, by the way, I'm really making it hard on myself. You can literally just pick up the white. I know John's thinking that right now, aren't you? Like, why don't you just pick up the white? John's an efficient kind of a guy, like pick up the white. You literally could just pick up the white, put the red down, and put the white over it. So that you can do that on the first one, makes it a lot easier. All right, so then the white is you're gonna put it underneath the red. And again, you might have done yours backwards with different colors, because remember, this is a side you could have done it in different colors, and that's fine. But the point is, from the inside out, you just make sure you're alternating. And so there you go. Okay, so now you have two. And then last one, this one above the red, under the white, above the red, under the white. Wait, no, oof, above the red, under the white, and then I'm going to cheat and put that blue one underneath it without ruining the rest of the weave. Okay, so there you go. So now make them nice and straight. You folks see that nice weave there? Make that nice and straight. I'm going to peel off another one of my stars, and I'm going to put it right there to hold it right in the middle. Okay. Then you can kind of make it a little tighter, neater if you want, however you want to do it. Okay. Then you have your two on the bottom. So let's see. I just want to make sure I'm at the right point here. What you can do also is you can, at this point, you can trim these a little bit, okay? You don't have to trim all of them, just trim the ones, let's say you want it to be a little bit neater. So in this case, I have a red one that's kind of folded a little weird. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim that one down so that it's even, so that it's slanted. It looks kind of cool, but then that means these aren't the same. Two of these are the same. One of them's different. So I'm actually going to make my white one in the middle. I'm going to cut that one. So now it looks a little like stepped. I don't know if you can see it here. Let's see if I do it that way. You can see the red is a bit shorter, then the white's a little longer, and then the blue is a little bit longer. But now if I do it on that side, you really do want to do the same thing on the other side and in the same order from in to out. So I'm going to do the blue one a little bit shorter. The white one is slanted in the other direction. So I'm going to slant it in the correct direction, but I'm not going to, yeah. And I'll cut the little blue one a little tiny bit more. There you go. And then I've got the red one I need to cut a little bit, otherwise it looks a little bit too long. So now in my case, I've got them looking a bit like that at the end. Right? And then that's a little different from this, which was just more or less just straight across on this one. It's just straight across, which is also perfectly fine. While our crafters are finishing up their frame, we do have just one more thing I want you to do at the end of this. And of course, if you have any questions, let us know. While our crafters are finishing up the frame, I wanted to ask a trivia question. You ready for a trivia question, Robbie?
I'm ready.
What is the national language of the United States?
So national language. We don't have an official national language, right?
That's true.
Although like a lot of official stuff is done in English, it's technically not. Like technically we don't have one.
That's true. That's true. So, and many people would think that English is a national language, but actually it's not. Some countries do have one national language. Some have many national languages, but the United States has no national language, which I think is a big surprise.
So I have one for you.
Yeah, you got one for me? Okay, go ahead, shoot.
What country is Puerto Rico part of?
All right, now you're giving me another trick question. So my question for you was a trick question. Now you've got a trick question for me, because some people think Puerto Rico is its own country because it isn't on the mainland of the United States, and it's not one of the states in the United States. It's not one of our 50 states. There are islands like the Hawaiian Islands, which are not part of the mainland of the United States, but are still islands. And actually, the Hawaiian Islands Hawaii is a state. In the case of Puerto Rico, became a territory of the United States in 1917. That's over 100 years ago. So Puerto Rico has been part of the United States for over 100 years. And that means people who live in Puerto Rico are American citizens, just like probably most of us who are on this call, or who may watch this video. And there are actually 14 different territories, in the same way Puerto Rico is. There's 14 different territories of the United States, and folks who live in those territories are also American citizens.
Yeah, but
So
they
good
don't
question.
always have every right. Like people in Puerto Rico can't vote for president,
Right.
but they can vote they have primaries. They can help the parties pick the candidates.
That's that. And so there's a difference between, let's say, states' rights versus territorial rights. Very interesting, Robbie. That's great. And this variety of all these, these different territories and all the different states we have, it really helps to make, the United States the beautiful country that it really is.
But probably they should be able to pick the president.
So it is definitely one of those things that I'm quite sure people are talking about in Puerto Rico and other territories. That's exactly one of those topics that if you're from there, you're going to be asking about that kind of representation.
Kind of like Washington, D.C. is a territory. It's the capital of the country, but it's not a state, and they don't have representation in Congress, which is so odd. But they can vote for president. So there's they're this in between where they get electoral votes for president, but they don't have a senator or a House representative that votes.
It's interesting. Washington, D.C., I hadn't even thought of that. And it's not one of the 14 territories. I don't think it's one of the 14 territories that I mentioned. I think that's another thing in and of itself. Although, John, if you want to look that up, look up our 14 territories. We also make Tyler do this too, John. So it's not so when Tyler does that, that's background fact checker. So if DC is one of the 14 territories, or if that's a separate thing, so because it sounds like they have a few different rights than states do. Okay, in any case.
So there are 5 territories that are inhabited, 9 that are uninhabited. The inhabited ones are American Samoa, Guam, the Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
There you go. So Washington, D.C. does not count as one of those. So interesting that there's 9 that aren't inhabited. Makes me want to go find them and move there personally.
My guess is there's a reason they're not inhabited.
That's probably true. That's probably true. So I've got one last thing for us to do before we finish our beautiful kit here, and that is I just want us to we have 2 stars left. Luckily, we have plenty of time. You have 2 stars left. You're peeling off the plastic back on them. And now you could leave it like this. I think the frame looks super cool just with the 2 stars, but you have the other stars. If you wanted to, you can then put them over here on the top, and you can do that either right on top, covering up this end. And gives it kind of a polished look. Let's see if you can see it. It gives it quite a bit of a polished look to have that star right at the end covering up. Let's say if it's a little frayed for that ribbon, or you can take it and you can I'll do it the other way on the side. You can do it at the very top, above where the ribbon ends. So kind of either one right on top here. Now, personally, I like it to cover up the frayed ends on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and move mine down, but you can absolutely just put it on the top. And actually that's what we did on this one. It's cut straight across, and then the star is on top much higher. By the way, now's a great time to do any other trimming that you have. If you did want to cut them across on top, or if you wanted to do anything. You also have these sides we didn't talk about, the ones over here. You can do the same thing here and kind of cut. I'm going to do it this way and just cut them straight up. It's a little bit advanced to do if you're a smaller kid, because you kind of have to hold the frame while you do it. And sometimes our scissors may not be as sharp, but there you go. So I did that kind of on both sides. So I have that same I don't know what you would call that, angled approach to the ends on 3 of the sides. Yeah, on all 4 of the sides. This is going out that way and these are going that way.
Would
So
it look
then-
cute to like angle it twice, like bring it to a point, like the 3 ribbons?
Oh, you can. Yeah,
One
you
in
can
the middle.
definitely. That's another way to do it. You can do it. I'll even test that out on this one. We can do it that way and see. That is a great idea. It's a little more advanced because you might want that middle color. Oops. You might want that middle color to be kind of half and half, which is a little advanced maybe for smaller kids, but parents can definitely help. Look how cool that looks. Robbie, great idea. Natural crafter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it well there. Maybe it's better on this, but
Stacy, just want to give you a time check. I know we started late, but we have about 5 minutes left to the planned event.
perfect. I appreciate that, John. Thank you so much. And so it is perfect timing for you to say that. I'm going to say one last thing, and then I think I'm ready to hand it over to Robbie. So one last thing I'm going to say is you did have this piece of paper. Now, after you have fun with making your craft, and then you're going to, maybe you have a picture you want to put in here. That is great. Go ahead, put that picture in here. You can even put this in as a background in case maybe the picture is too small. So you have the white as kind of a mat for it. So you can put the picture on top. Or if you don't want to do a picture and you just happen to be, you want your inner artist to show and shine, you can go ahead and just draw anything you want on your piece of paper if you had our kit. Then once you're done making your masterpiece, maybe even in an American theme or a citizenship theme, you can go ahead and put it in there. And now you have a beautiful photo fridge magnet with your magnet on the other side. And there you go. There's the craft. So I hope you'll enjoy that. And Robbie, on that note, take it away.
Very cute. Thank you, Stacy. And thank you, John. And thanks to all of our wonderful crafters today. Citizenship is not a one and done topic. I say this about every topic, but it requires an ongoing conversation, right?
They all do, right?
Every day is a learning experience. So we encourage you to keep having this conversation. Send our event, we'll send our event video to you and our infographic. Feel free to share that around. We'll also have a follow-up email that includes information for further reading. We encourage you to share our infographic, and please consider committing to an action related to citizenship each week. You can get informed by coming to events like this one. You can learn more about American history. You can, pick up a book. You can get to know your neighbors and just enjoy your community. That's a big one. Being a citizen means there's lots of wonderful opportunities to take advantage of, like local, state, and national parks. There's like national monuments. You can learn more about history that way too. So our email will include a brief survey of what you thought of the event. Please take the time to respond. Your feedback is very important to us. We're also going to put a poll on the screen now. If you would take a moment to complete this. These questions are not the same as the survey that we will email. These are just, I think, a couple questions. We're doing another Celebrate and Create event about animal welfare in September. That's September 23rd, same time, 1 to 2 p.m. And to look and learn about more great Inform Your Community events, not only Celebrate and Create, but we have a ton of other ones to choose from. You can check our website, www.informyourcommunity.org. And please consider donating. We are a nonprofit and your donation helps to keep our events free. And of course, the craft supplies and movie licensing and all that stuff is free for you. So thank you all for coming and helping inform your own communities based on what you learned today.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, John, so much. So glad to see everybody on this lovely day. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Sun came out here.
Enjoy it. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.